Hello, everybody. Welcome to Moment of Clarity. Please click subscribe. Please share this. Let's get started. This is your moment of clarity. Now, it's not often I get to bring you a story about the biggest in human history, like a report about that. Sure, there was a one time I covered the Pomeranian that was the size of a small bodega, but in general, world records of any value are few and far between. But today I get to do it. I get to bring you the biggest in human history. And no, I'm not talking about the popular porn movie from the 1990s. This past week saw the biggest strike in human history. And how much have you heard on your mainstream media, mainstream Western media, about this strike? I mean, as far as I can tell, they've hardly mentioned it. They've talked more about which type of pumpkin spice to sprinkle on your fucking corn dog to give it the Christmas spirit. Human history's largest strike just occurred in India, and it involved 250 million people, which is the entire thinking, breathing adult population of the U.S. Well, not thinking. I mean, only I'd say roughly 62% of all adults in America are actually thinking. The rest are staring blankly out the window, trying to ignore their kids screaming and wondering if it's illegal to wrap a thick fire blanket around the kid's head and duct tape it until he stops screaming. Maybe that counts as thinking. Tough to say. There's been essentially a U.S. mainstream media blackout on this strike. I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong. Please tell me that Anderson Cooper has been out on the front lines while Indian workers or with the Indian workers, or that Brett Baer or Nora O'Donnell waded into the throngs of people to ask them why they're so upset. Maybe the well-coiffed media elite are out there buying chicken masala on a stick from street vendors. I'd love to see it. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they've been covering this story extensively. I'm kidding. I'm not wrong. They suck. The largest strike in human history. Do you know how long humans have been around? Neither do I, but a long time. It's been a long time. I think the first one was a guy named Dax, worked down at the mill, right? You remember him. So it was a long time. Anyway, there's an article about this strike in People's Dispatch, and they said, quote, despite police repression and the COVID-19 pandemic, workers and farmers and their allies across India participated in the Pan-India strike action against the recent neoliberal reforms pushed through by the Modi government, unquote. So they're standing up against the neoliberal garbage being pushed in their country. And we should be standing with them. We should be joining them in our own country. Workers in the U.S. or probably whichever country you're in, although it might be worse in our late-stage capitalist hellhole. But workers in the U.S. should be striking as well because most of us are being treated like shit. People are having their lives slowly extracted for pennies on the dollar, sold to a productivity algorithm so the monstrously rich can get monstrously richer and Congress can take a fucking 2-month vacation over the holidays while everyone else suffers, everyone hurts, everyone aches, stressing over where their next meal will come from and whether it'll be made out of a mystery meat that's gamey and stringy, but might be emu, could be pigeon, but it's probably emu. Here's another quote from the article. Quote, over 250 million workers and farmers, along with their allies among students, feminists, and civil society groups, participated in the nationwide strike in India, unquote. Different groups working together. That's why we can't be told about this in Western media. That's why it's dangerous to tell us about it. What if we get ideas? What if we get to thinking? What if we put aside our half-eaten Pop-Tarts and get angry rather than channeling all of our natural anger about this system into fucking Yelp reviews and video games and YouTube clips showing someone opening a cosmetics box? What if our anger were directed in the right direction for a second? I mean, we've been living pure and unfettered, misdirected anger for generations now. My great-great-grandfather had a severe misdirected anger, beat the shit out of a mascot at a baseball game when really he was angry that his wife was cheating on him. You're told to hate other countries or hate other colors or hate other genders or hate other sexual orientations, like those people who only jack off inside the furry costumes. You know, they're the ones taking the jobs. Let's get angry at them. Misdirected anger is basically the motto of our modern day worker. It might as well be printed right there on the fucking flag. Welcome to the land of misdirected anger and confused outrage. Don't forget to duck. The game plan of the ruling elite is divide and conquer. Therefore, the game plan of all the rest of us should be unite and fight back. And that's exactly what happened, at least for a bit, in India. A lot of disparate groups that probably often are arguing with each other. It's what groups tend to do. They came together and they said, hey, we're all against this neoliberal shit show. Let's work together for a minute. And the result was 250 million fucking people. Holy fuck, that's a lot of people. And of course, anything that large needs some demands. According to People Dispatch, quote, some of the key demands contained in the 12-point charter put forward by the organizers include the withdrawal of a series of laws recently passed by the Modi government, repealing key labor and farm price protections, a rollback in the recent disinvestment policies in major government-owned enterprises, implementation of existing welfare schemes for rural workers, and expanding welfare policies to aid the masses affected by the economic fallout of the COVID-19 pandemic. Even though we're, at least I, am in a very different country, with somewhat different things going on, it sounds like a lot of those demands could be stuff we could demand here in the U.S. Better welfare policies to aid the masses affected by the economic fallout of the pandemic. Fuck yeah. We could use that. Welfare schemes for rural workers, key protections for workers. These sound like things we need right here in the land of beer and chicken McNuggets. Maybe, just maybe, we have something in common with those Indian workers. But no, the mainstream media, our politicians, they won't ever tell you about that. Even with the countries they aren't spending their time trying to make you hate, like you're supposed to hate Russia and China and Iran, etc., etc. Even with the countries that we're allied with, they still won't spend a minute telling you that you and the workers in that other country have a lot in common. In fact, you have more in common with them than you have with the rulers of this society, with some private jet-owning billionaire fuckhead who never wears a shirt 2 days in a row, doesn't sometimes binge watch 13 hours of a horror series meant for tweens. Ew, he's so perfect. Fuck him. This pandemic is awful. It's fucking horrible, but it can also change things. The largest strike in human history just happened in India. In France, there are gigantic protests going on right now against police abuse and more. And it's also receiving basically a U.S. media blackout. There are eviction fights going on around the U.S. that hardly get any national attention. People are joining together and fighting back in a way that we haven't seen before. People are looking to their neighbors and going, hey, if they get evicted, maybe I'm next. If they can't afford food, I bet I'm next. If they have to eat the pigeon meat, I'm probably next. Let's work together. Let's redirect our anger. Let's fight back. That's been your moment of clarity. Please share it if you think it's important. I will take a few minutes to answer some questions if you got some. If you're watching this on a different channel or on Facebook, please subscribe at youtube.com/moment of clarity. That's the newer channel, youtube.com/moment of clarity, that I created to try and fight some of the suppression. But let's see. This person is saying, I think it's okay to be angry about neoliberalism in the ruling elites. Oz Whistles says that. Yeah, Yeah, it fucking is. Yeah, you should be angry at neoliberalism and the ruling elite. Let's see. Jeffrey Denton says people do a simple search on how each president signed legislation to further monopolize media. This was all done in an extremely nonpartisan way and not for one imaginary side or the other, but for less than 1% of the population. Absolutely true, Jeffrey. If people think it's only the Republicans that have consolidated the corporate media, or they think it's only the Democrats, fuck no. These guys work together, all right? Bill Clinton heavily consolidated, allowed the consolidation of the media, and it's only gone worse from there. It's Bush, Obama, they all understand that the more fucking the stranglehold they have on the mainstream media, the easier they can run things. And that's why shit got out of hand around the 2010 era. When the internet got good enough that most people in this country could watch video on a regular basis. For a long time, the internet was there. There was sharing of ideas, but it was a little bit slower. It was a little bit harder. And around the early 2000s to mid 2000s, you had everybody could go online and watch videos, learn things, and watch videos like this one. But that's when shit got out of hand for the ruling elite. That's when Occupy started. That's when Obama is absolutely a corporate clown, but he got more donations from single people than from corporations, which it didn't matter for him. They still owned him. He was still working for the corporate state, but it mattered after him when Bernie Sanders was such a threat and Donald Trump was such a threat. So yeah, they've had to lock down the internet because keeping these ideas in the box is really part of what they're trying so hard to do. Let's see. Omar Rana wants to know, is Biden more neocon and pro-war than Trump? Well, he's saying something about someone pushing for Trump to win. Well, Trump has lost. It's the election is over. But I'm sorry if you, watch Hannity on Fox News and think that this election isn't over. It's very fucking over. But is Biden more neocon and pro-war than Trump? Here's the thing, though. There's different sides of Trump, because he's not ideological in the sense that most politicians have been. He's not trying to create a certain worldview or something. It's all about him. It's whatever he thinks will make him look good or will make his base like him. And so for him, or things he just doesn't want to spend time on. So in terms of the number of bombs being dropped by our military, Trump has actually dropped more bombs. Allowed our military to drop more bombs than Obama did. And Obama was bombing every fucking minute. So Obama's final year in office, the numbers came out that roughly 30,000, a little less than 30,000 bombs were dropped in that 1 year alone. Obama's final year. This is a president that some idiot liberals think was a peaceful president. In Trump's first year in office, the Pentagon dropped 40,000 a year. I think it averages out to a bomb every 10 or 12 minutes. And that has less to do with Trump sitting there every 10 minutes going, drop a bomb, drop a bomb, drop a bomb. He's not overseeing most of this. What it was he completely took any remaining modicum of, I was going to say he took the gloves off the Pentagon, but the Pentagon didn't have gloves on. It's not like their hands were tied. They had, if their hands were being tied, if you wanted to consider the gloves on with Obama, they were like a finger. It was like one finger of a glove was on the Pentagon. So the gloves have been on the Pentagon for a long time. But Trump basically said to them, look, I'm not even going to read your reports. I'm not going to read your shit you want to do. I'm not going to look at what it is that we're planning on doing around the world, because I don't fucking care. I'm not a reader. That's basically what he said. He said, you go do your shit. And unless it's something that is something new or different, don't even bring it to me. And so the Pentagon just went and did whatever the fuck they wanted. And that was dropping 40,000 bombs a year. So Trump actually did drop more bombs. And Biden possibly may drop a little bit less. But Trump also, because it was good for his ego, good for his, look good for his campaign promises, Trump also tried to bring troops home multiple times. He tried to create peace with North Korea. He tried to bring troops home from Afghanistan, tried to bring troops home from Germany, tried to bring troops home from Syria. And every time, just about, he was completely thwarted. They would either put out some new report. Oh my God, Russia is funding Taliban bounties that later turns out to be completely false. So we have to keep all the troops there. Or in Syria, you remember they ran around doing oh fuck, we got to save the Kurds. And so you got to leave the troops there. Or, the Trump says, bring everybody home from Syria. And the following day, they're like, oh, Assad just used chemical weapons. He just fired them everywhere. I can't believe it. That's so odd. So they did things to stop Trump from bringing these troops home. They largely succeeded. Trump did not bring that many troops home. But so I think it's a mistake to act like Trump is some kind of fucking peaceful person. He's not. He allowed more bombing than ever before. The nuclear clock is 30 seconds to midnight or whatever, the closest it's ever been to nuclear war. That's what nuclear scientists believe. We're on the cusp of nuclear war. So I don't think cheering for Trump or Biden gets you any kind of peace. I think it's kind of neither for both of them. Okay, maybe I'll find one more question if we got one. Let's see here. I don't think one party's better than the other. Yeah, I think you're starting to nail it down there. That's how the corporate control of government works. Mike Fagan says, since Trump dropped more bombs, shouldn't he get a Nobel Peace Prize? Yes, he should get a Nobel Peace Prize. I think he was nominated for one recently. So if considering how many bombs he dropped, he should get that Peace Prize. It's really not fair he hasn't. For those who haven't been keeping score at home, the Nobel Peace Prize has become a fucking like a farce of itself. The Nobel Peace Prize is often given to either full-on warmongers like Henry Kissinger and Barack Obama, or it's given to people that, did some good, but they're being promoted by the kind of ruling elite as look, we care. And so they're kind of propped up. But the Nobel Prize has completely become just a sham. It's a joke. And it was created. The Nobel created the Peace Prize because he invented dynamite, and he realized that his legacy. I actually read that the reason he realized this was that someone died and they thought it was him. So they wrote an obituary. Some newspaper in Europe wrote an obituary, or maybe multiple did, wrote an obituary for Nobel, and in it basically said this man was known for inventing dynamite. And, all these dynamites now used around the world for all these explosive purposes. And basically, in reading his own obituary, he realized what his legacy was, that it was blowing people up. So he created the Nobel Peace Prize to kind of paper over his image, to say, I created peace, not just dynamite. And so anyway, it's kind of fitting that the Nobel Peace Prize now actually seems like a cover for more death. You give it to Barack Obama while he obliterates so many around the world. Let's see. All right, I'm going to wrap it up here in a second. Maybe I'll tell you about. This Omar Rana saying Benjamin Netanyahu also nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize. Netanyahu, one of the biggest fucking warmongers in the world, who thinks his military is not shooting enough children on the border with Palestine. He would love to have them shoot more. Unfortunately, it's the bullets are expensive, so they've held back a little bit. I just figured the last couple of minutes I'd tell you about this. This is pretty hilarious. If you want to watch the actual video, you can go to Twitter. My Twitter is @LeeCamp. And one of the top few tweets right now is from Katie Halper. So Katie Halper she's the co-host. I've known her for years. She's a co-host of the show Useful Idiots with Matt Taibbi. But Anyway, she plays these clips of Josh Fox, who's the director of Gasland. So he's an anti-fracking activist, which is the good side of him. But he's now aligned with a bunch of kind of shitty people, and so Michael Moore put out Planet of the Humans, which is a film that makes a lot of good points. There's some facts here and there that are either antiquated or off or whatever. But in general, it deserves a discussion. I mean, you should watch it and think about what it's saying and have a discussion about it, rather than just saying, it's saying things I don't like about how renewable energy is not really renewable, and about how the amount of fucking rare earth metals that go into renewable energy is kind of horrific, and maybe we should sit down and actually think about this while we're still crushing the fossil fuel companies. At no point does it say, and go easy on the fossil fuel companies. No, it doesn't say that at all. It's saying, let's have a discussion about how we move this planet beyond the capitalist fucking just catastrophe that we've created. And anyway, so Josh Fox has somehow got himself involved in trying to censor and get this movie removed. He proudly was tweeting about how he got it removed from YouTube for like a minute and then it went back up. But it was not a secret. He wasn't like it wasn't just behind the scenes. He was publicly saying, censor this movie, have it removed, make sure no one can see it. And so Max Blumenthal at the Gray Zone does great work. You can read his article on this. If you Google probably Gray Zone Planet of the Humans, you can read the fucking million-word essay or article on the details behind all this. So Josh Fox decides to come up with some conspiracy that he relays in this interview. And anyway, Katie Halper kind of plays the clips and tears it apart. But apparently I'm involved. Josh Fox has decided that Vladimir Putin and me and Max Blumenthal and Katie Halper, we got together and we had a dinner party where we decided to crush Josh Fox or go after Josh Fox or something. It doesn't. His conspiracy needs a little fleshing out because there's not really a lot of details in it. I don't quite know what we're being accused of, but it's an interesting team. You got to admit, it's an interesting baseball team right there. You got me, Putin, Max Blumenthal. I think he throws Aaron Mate in there. At one point, he says Matt Taibbi. Then later, he throws in Jimmy Dore. Jimmy Dore apparently not on the pro team. He's like in the farm team of this conspiracy that is going after Josh Fox. So it's me, Putin, Blumenthal, Aaron Mate, Katie Halper. And we apparently have we get together and we wear funny robes and we do secret handshakes and then we talk about how we can go after Josh Fox. And it's tough because it's tough for my schedule to get together like that and have those rituals. The bleeding of the virgin goats actually can take upwards of 47 minutes to get the full ceremony with the garb. I mean, just getting the face masks on and the stuff you have to twist around you. It's like a bracelet type thing you got to put on. And then you got the bleeding. Virgin goats can bleed a surprising amount of time. It's not quick. And so anyway, with my schedule, it's been tough to get to all the meetings. I've been to like a couple. Putin apparently has a lot of time because he's at all of them. I mean, that guy, he is there with bells on every day right before the bleeding of the goats. You'd think he'd have a busy schedule, but he's at all of them. I've only been to a couple, but anyway, seems to be working. And so we're doing our best through those rituals to crush Josh Fox. Oh man. It's kind of a sad video to watch. I don't know quite what happened to Josh Fox, but he's lost it a little bit. He also precedes the whole segment by going, I don't want to name names without evidence. I don't want to name names without evidence. So he admits that he has no evidence. And then he goes into naming all these names without evidence. I feel like if you're going to, folks, actually, this is a teachable moment. Folks, if you're going to present a conspiracy theory about how everyone's trying to get you, don't precede it with, I don't have any evidence for this. You should, I mean, look at Trump. Trump does it right, okay? If Trump has a conspiracy about everyone's going to get him, he doesn't say, by the way, I have no proof of this. He just says it's happening. So Josh needs to take some Trump lessons. You don't go into it going, I have no fucking clue what I'm talking about, but here's who's trying to get me. You don't do that. You just go in and you go, here's who's trying to get me. And you try and talk a lot before someone says, do you have any evidence? And then you change the subject. You talk about the weather, or your kid just scored a goal in soccer. Like, you change the subject. So once they start asking for evidence later, put that to later. Don't precede everything by saying, look, I got no evidence of this. But Vladimir Putin, Lee Camp, Katie Halper, and Max Blumenthal, they're out to get me. And I know this not because of evidence. I just feel it in my heart. I feel it in my heart. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap up there. But if you think this moment of clarity was important, please share it. I do these every single weekday, except sometimes, at leecamp.com. And I really appreciate it. Check out my 2 podcasts, Common Censored and Government Secrets. They're free on all your podcast networks. All right. Keep fighting.